In this video, I will show you how to create the dandelion stitch, which adds these little flower-like stitches to your knitting. Today I'll be using Wool & the Gang's Tina Tape yarn in Timberwolf and a pair of 6.5mm knitting needles. This technique is used in our Moloko cardigan pattern. Okay, let's get started. So I've worked a few rows of the dandelion stitch pattern already. This pattern is a 12-row repeat that is worked over a multiple of 8 stitches plus 1 extra edge stitch. For this swatch, I have cast on 33 stitches. So first, starting with a knit row, you need to work 4 rows in stocking stitch. So that's 1 knit row, and then a purl row, followed by another knit row and another purl row. So I've just finished my 4 rows of stocking stitch, and now I'm going to create the first line of dandelions. To do this, I'm going to start by knitting the first 3 stitches. Then, instead of inserting my needle into the next stitch, I'm going to insert it into the 3rd stitch below the 2nd stitch on my left needle. So that's 2 across and 3 down. Then I'm going to loop the yarn around my needle and pull it through that stitch, pulling it so I've got quite a long loop there, and that's going to create the first section of my dandelion. Once I've made that loop, I'm going to knit 2 stitches and then go through that same stitch again to create the second loop. So that's 3 stitches down, pull through a loop, and that's the middle part of my dandelion. I'm going to knit another 2 stitches and then pull through that same stitch a 3rd time, creating the 3rd part of my dandelion. So that's the whole dandelion created there. Now I'm going to knit 4 more stitches, and then start the process again to create my next dandelion. So that's 2 stitches across and 3 stitches down. Pull through the yarn, creating a loop on the right needle. Then knit 2 stitches, pull a loop through that same stitch, put it on the right needle, knit 2 stitches, and then pull a 3rd loop through that same stitch and onto the right needle, and that's my second dandelion completed. So I'm going to keep doing this, so it's 4 stitches, then 2 stitches across, 3 stitches down, pull through your first loop, knit 2 stitches, pull through your second loop, two stitches, then pull through your 3rd loop. So that's my 3rd dandelion complete. I've got 1 more to do on this row, so I'm going to knit 4 stitches, then count across 2 again and down 3 to create my final dandelion. It's important when you're pulling the loops through not to pull them too tight, as that will gather up your knitting and it won't sit flat. So you need to make sure that they're pulled nice and loose. Then after creating the third loop on your last dandelion, you knit the last 2 stitches. So as you can see, I've got a few extra loops on my needle at the moment. In the next row, we're going to reduce these back down to the correct number of stitches. So I'm going to start by purling 2 stitches. Then I'm going to make a left leaning purl decrease through the next 2 stitches. So this is going to join the first of my dandelion stitches with the stitch next to it. Then I'm going to purl the next stitch and make another decrease in the same way that joins the middle section of my dandelion with the stitch next to it. Then I'll purl the next stitch and do the same decrease with the next 2. So that's my first dandelion decreased back down to the correct number of stitches. So now I'm going to purl 3 stitches until I reach the next dandelion, and then repeat the same process again. So that's a left leaning purl decrease, a purl stitch, a second left leaning purl decrease, another purl stitch, and then a third left leaning purl decrease, followed by 3 purl stitches. So I'm going to repeat that twice more to the end of the row. So as you can see, I've got another row of dandelion stitches that we've created with those last 2 rows. Before I can create my next row, I need to work another 4 rows in stocking stitch. So I've just finished my 4 rows of stocking stitch, and I'm going to work another row of dandelion stitch. So as you can see from the previous rows, this row will be staggered from the last. So instead of knitting 3 stitches at the beginning, I'm going to knit 7. So now I'm going to create the dandelion in the same way as before. So I'm going to count across 2 stitches and down 3. And then I'm going to insert the needle through this stitch, pull the yarn through, creating a loop on my right needle, taking care not to pull the yarn too tightly. Then I'm going to knit 2 stitches, create my second loop, again not pulling too tightly, then knit 2 stitches and create the third and final loop of this dandelion. So now I've got my 3 loops. I'm going to knit 4 stitches and make another dandelion in the same way. So that's 2 across, 3 down, pull through, knit 2, pull through, knit 2, and then pull through the third loop. Then knit 4 stitches and create another dandelion in the same way. So now I've finished my last dandelion, I'm going to knit 6 stitches to the end of the row. So now I'm going to work another decrease row in the same way as before to get rid of the extra loops. So this time I'm going to start by purling 6 stitches. Then I'm going to make a left leaning purl decrease, then purl 1 stitch, make another left leaning purl decrease, purl another stitch, and make a third left leaning purl decrease, then purl 3 stitches, and then I'm going to repeat these stitches to the end of the row. So I just finished my last lot of decreases, and now I'm going to purl the remaining 6 stitches to the end of the row. And there you go, that's how you create the dandelion stitch. Thanks for watching.